Hello and welcome to Black Tot Rum Club. My name's Mitch Wilson. I'm the Global Ambassador for Black Tot Rum. And tonight we're going to be sharing with you a very exciting session. But before we get on to that, just to give you a little idea on Black Tot Rum Club, if you're joining us for the first time, this is inspired by rum clubs around the world that hold sessions, bringing people together, bringing rum lovers together, and hopefully diving a little deeper in some aspects of the rum industry. So for the past two sessions and tonight, we've been deep diving into the Navy rum, which is very much at the heart of our brand here at Black Tot. So our first session, we spoke to Matt Pietrek from Cocktail Wonk, who's been doing a wonderful writing a book on Navy rum over the past couple of years. We spoke to Luca Gargano from Velier, who's bottled some of the most incredible Navy rums around the world. And then tonight we have a very special guest who's going to tell us what life was like on the Navy ships themselves. So before we get on to that, just to give you a heads up as well, we've got some people joining us now. We're going to throw a little competition for you tonight as well. For anyone who would like to win a bottle of Black Tot Finest Caribbean, just share the live video and we will pick one of you at the end of the session today before the video ends with John, and we're going to pick a winner who will be receiving a free bottle of rum as well. We thought rather than giving Facebook money, we would just send you rum instead. So tonight, to introduce our guest speaker, there are many tales in the bar world that we tend to share, and we talk about life at sea very regularly, especially in the Navy rum world. However, it's very rare that we get to speak to someone who was actually there and part of it when the Navy rum ration was being given out. Now, our guest tonight, I was introduced to purely by accident. We had an email come through in around February this year from a wonderful Navy rum store, Nauticalia, who emailed us asking for a Navy rum bottling and asking what we had coming out this year of Black Tot. And when I read back through the threads, there was an email that they'd received with a query from the customer which said the following: as an ex-sailor who in fact issued the rum ration from 1961 to 1970, will you be bringing out something special in 2020 to commiserate the 50th anniversary of this barbaric act by the government? Thank you. And when I read back through that email and I saw this quote that they put through, I thought we must meet this man. Who is he? Let's talk to him. So we contacted the store and they very kindly reached out to this gentleman. So our guest tonight was what we call a Jack Dusty in the Navy. He was responsible for issuing the Navy rum ration from 1961 to 1970. So please welcome to Black Tot Rum Club, John Hume.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hello, how are you?
Very nice. I can remember that.
Absolutely wonderful. And I was reading back, I was looking up the email earlier today and I saw that you'd sent that in March 2019. So
yeah, I'm going to say it wasn't this year.
Yeah, just over a year ago. So I'm so glad. If it hadn't been on that email thread, we would never have started. And since then, for anyone, when I first reached out to you, I thought, we might get a couple of stories or a couple of tales. And I don't think a week's gone by so far that we haven't had some kind of contact or
Little did you know.
It's been wonderful. And for me, it's been, it's added a wonderful context and a wonderful color to the research I've been doing in the Navy rum, because, there is, what we often talk about is there's so much misinformation, so many rumors and tall tales, and to be able to speak to someone who actually was there and can tell us what was real, what wasn't real is absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for joining us today as well.
Okay.
So just to give a little background as well, I've been, for those of you at home, I've been pouring through, John's been sending me regular notes and stories from his tales at sea. We've got pictures. I've got a picture of his wedding invitation and John when he first joined the Navy. I've had to read, you're the first person I've ever met, John, that I've had to read 2 books just to understand what you were talking about as well. It's quite
all right, Chuck.
So we'll cover some some of the Navy slang today as well. So one of the obviously Nelson's Blood, one of the authorities on Navy rum, but also Jack Speak. This is an entire library of Navy rum slang that I've been pouring through to decipher your emails and understand. So it's been fantastic.
You'll keep those same phrases though. That's the problem. You know, like coming out. You know, everybody uses it and everybody understands it. Unless you're a civilian, then you don't.
Yes.
And you can't get out of saying these words. You never say the floor. It's still the deck. You know, I say to the grandchildren, that deck needs sweeping. Go and get it done. You know. What, Granddad? What's a deck?
But well, at least they have an authority to teach them, so that's good.
Oh, yeah. I know about the rum as well.
Yes, wonderful. Well, we should probably start off with a little rum. So if you're joining us at home, we've got a few of you watching. Please pour yourself a little glass of rum. Enjoy us now. Now you've got a very special glass there, haven't you, John? So talk us through what that glass represents.
Well, HMS Ganges is where I joined up age 15 and 5 days. And so HMS Ganges is world infamous for young lads of 15 having to climb that and do that. No safety harness, no nothing. You climbed up in time with music. If you fell off, you were dead.
And this was like a ritual of initiation?
Oh, yeah, everybody had to do it. Unfortunately, Andy, who you just spoken to, he didn't do it because by 1976, when he joined, the mast was falling apart. It's been there since 1901, I think, and everybody had to climb it. And that particular picture is a Parents' Day man the mast routine. So you go up in time to music, and then when the music stops, you don't come down the way you went up. You grab a wire stay, hand over hand, you come down it, and you clear the mast in something like 20 seconds. And that was it. And you were 50, I was 15 and 5 days.
So we've actually got a picture of you here, John, when you first joined the Navy. I'm going to throw this up here. So this was you at 15 years old.
Yeah, 15, yeah, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Now, I'd love you to share the story of how you joined, because I think it's hard for people to. It's hard for me to imagine joining anything at 15 and sticking with it.
Well, it wasn't actually 15. Let's be honest, it was 14.
14 years old. So 14
years old. I'd already done the exams. And back in the 40s and 50s, no television, no nothing. So I was in the Life Boys, which then became the Boys Brigade. And then a friend at school, he went to Nottingham Sea Cadets, TS Orion on the Trent. And because he was a good mate, I said, well, I'll come down and join you. So I was 12. I went into the Sea Cadets and learned on how to dress yourself with this uniform and how to iron your belts, right, which are your trousers. Put in 5 creases in or 7 creases, and everything had to be creased in the right way. The collar that you see there with the 3 stripes on, that had to be 2 peaks and a trough. It had to be spot on. So I did that at the Sea Cadets, and I wasn't very clever at school. I was in the A stream all the time. Didn't know what I was going to do when I left, because at 12, 13, you start to think, what am I going to do when I leave school? Because you left school at 15, and this friend at Sea Cadets, he said, well, I'm going to join the Navy. I said, well, that sounds a good idea. I'll come and join you. So told my mum, I said, and of course, as I said to you earlier, the key point was that I had nowhere to sleep, because my mum had two daughters and another brother. The 2 girls slept in 1 bedroom. I slept in a little back bedroom, box room as you call them, and that was it. And mum and dad had so there were 3 bedrooms, but then she went and had my brother, and by the time I was about 13 when he was born. So by the time I was 14 and a half, he wanted to sleep in another bed. So the only place he could sleep was my bed. So I thought, well, if I get out of this, go and find a bed I can sleep in on my own, joining the Navy does it. So my younger brother basically kicked me out of my own bed. And I went to 96 Green Lane in Derby for my medical, where 30 or 40 other young lads, age 14, all absolutely naked in a long line, going to see this young lady nurse, doctor. That was nice. And that was the medical. That was at 14.
Wow.
We then took the examination form, filled that in, and they asked me there and then, what did I want to be? Nobody told us. There was no information in those days. You couldn't search for anything. I didn't know anybody in the Navy. So I said, well, I like cooking. Can I be a chef? So, well, a cook, not a chef, cook. So I filled in the necessary educational requirements. A stream was the important bit. I was okay on arithmetic, algebra rubbish, logarithms rubbish, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I filled in the test paper and I got a letter back saying that I wasn't successful in being a cook, but I could be a stores accountant or a writer who dealt with pay. Now, luckily, the postman who my mum spoke to on a daily basis knew that I was going to join the Navy because he'd actually just come out of the Navy as an electrician. And when my mum said that I was upset that I couldn't go in as a cook, he said, oh, forget that, going as a stores accountant, best job there is. So I filled my form back out. Can I become a stores accountant? That was that done all before I was 14. I had to get my teacher to sign up saying that I'm signing up for 12 years and everything else. And I can remember the teacher, Mr. Duda, and he said to me, do you really want to sign your life away for 12 long years? Yes, sir. And that was it. So on the fateful day, mum and dad and the other three children were waving me away on Nottingham Midland Station. Mum was crying. I didn't know what to do. And we went down to London, and there was a PO, a petty officer there in charge of everybody coming down on this particular day, the 12th of September, 1961. And he said, anybody that's homesick now's your chance to go back home. Because once you get there, that's it, you're stuck. So a few of them disappeared. We got another train from King's Cross, I think, up to Ipswich, where we had a coach to take us to this infamous place where in the skyline you could see the top of this mast. Nobody told us about this mast. And when we got to Ganges, we had to fill out a letter. We had to copy the letter that said, dear Mummy and Daddy, we have arrived safely. We are happy and we are being fed. Look, your loving son. We had to send this letter back with all the clothes that we travelled down in, because we were then given everything. Combs, toothbrushes, slippers, you name it, we were given a lot. Even a razor, although it took me 6 years before I started to shave. I was so young, you know. And anyway, so that was the first week was in the annex, where we had to sew our names in every bit of clothing. Luckily, my name was J.M. Hume, so plus the dots. So I didn't have a lot to sew. Other people like Fairbrother and things like that, they were sewing sheets and pillowcases and socks to the middle of the night, sitting out in the square, the parade ground, sewing the names in this material. Even your leather belt, you had to sign your name in. The only thing you didn't do was your shoes, because you couldn't. After about a week, we were taken over to the main camp, and we saw the mast, and the instructor said, on your marks, go! And you went up, and as you went up, on the, where's my piece of paper? Well, as you went up here, this bit here, that's called the devil's elbow. Now, there's a lover's hole that goes through up it. You weren't allowed to do that. You had to come out and go over. So you came out. So you were hanging just with your arms and scrambling for your feet to go into the netting. And then once you got onto there, you went up to the top, up there, up the Jacob's ladder, up to there. That was the final place. This guy standing up there, you didn't have to do that. He's actually standing there. The only thing it's holding on to is something between his knees called a lightning conductor. And he stands up and salutes 143 feet up. People used to sit up there writing letters home. I didn't. It frightened me to bloody death. Still can't go up a ladder. So that's how it started. And that was basic seamanship, pulling a boat, it's called, not rowing a boat. And then after you'd done that and you went back to school, then you went through specialised training, which was as a stores accountant down at HMS Pembroke in Chatham, where for 3 months I learned the ropes on how to look after food, the rum and everything else. And then age 16, I went up to Scotland, Queensferry, HMS Lochinvar, which is a minesweeper squadron. Funnily enough, Andy, who you spoke to earlier, I was on HMS Yarnton for a fortnight doing sea training. He was on the same ship 20 years later, but was in Hong Kong for 2.5 years. That would have been nice. But I was doing the rum issue then at 16, although people didn't like it. I had to learn how to do it, but that was on a shore base. It was a single top. So you got your single top like that, but it wasn't put in a small glass like that. It was put in a half pint glass like that. You put your top in there, and then your water, and that is how much you drink. And you drink it straight away. You don't sip it or make it last the hour. You don't have an hour. You've got 3 or 4 minutes, and that's it. So you get that down your neck, and where you go. So that was at HMS Lochinvar.
So, John, you said so that you get the single top there, and you're then adding it into the bigger glass. Now, that would have been what we call the grog, right? So,
Yeah, grog. After Admiral Vernon.
Yes, that old guy is and so that would have been 2 parts water to 1 part rum, and that one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's go the other way around. This is empty.
Join me on that. Cheers, everyone.
Officers.
Don't encourage him, Mitch.
It's third, you're right. Right, officers. They don't get one. All right, so empty glass for the officers, because they drink gin, pink gin in a horse's neck, you know. So the officers don't get that. The chuffs and puffs, that's chief petty officers and petty officers, they get 1 top per day, neat. So that amount there. They're not supposed to, but they would have a bottle in their locker and probably just have a little sip and pour the rest into the bottle. If you did,
that was illegal, right, John? That wasn't
totally illegal. Totally illegal. Most of the things we talk about, rum, is totally illegal. The chuffs and puffs, if you did a good job doing something, or a hazardous job, or anything like that, where you excelled in something, your PO or chief who was in charge of you would say, "Where are you? Come round." Now that is a national sign of a tot, right? It's about half a tot. So when he says to you, "Come round," that means you go round to his mess, knock on the door, and says, "Chief Smith there, he told me to come round." And you stand by the door, look around, and he'll come out with a tot and eat rum. Get that down you, and here you go. And that was the chiefs and POs. Whereas the ordinary ratings, that's the Killicks, that's the leading seamen, and the other ones, dab toes, they would get on a shore base a single tot and would put their own water in, or somebody would put the water in. But on board ship, it was always mixed up so that you would get a full tot down in the mess. And you would sit around the table drinking your half pint of 2-in-1.
Fantastic. And I love that. Yeah, it's amazing to hear these stories firsthand. It's kind of it reminds me as well of like all of these. Every bar I've ever worked in will have a similar kind of routine, or like, oh, there's a shot out the back or something for you, like just to get you through those shifts. So it's interesting to hear how you guys would have done it. And I guess it would have been, you know, we talk about it being part of the morale of the crew, but it would have really played a big part in your day, right?
It was the most important thing, simply because when you got your tot, don't forget, you had to be 21 before you got your tot. Not that worried me.
How old were you when you got your first tot, John?
16.
Good lad. I'm surprised you waited that long.
Well, it was when I was on Centaur.
So just to give
when I got the Barrico, right? This is called a Barrico, and the bung was at the top. I'm not showing it very well. Right, there you go. The bung was at the top with a hasp and padlock, and we was in dry dock, and I didn't go ashore, so I stayed on board the ship, and I managed to earn some extra money by doing the duties of the people that should have been doing it, i.e. 50 pence. Well, 10 bob in them days, but 50p today. And the rum that wasn't issued at dinner time was then brought over to the ship for any people that had been on duty over the lunch period. And we would pour it out of this Barrico, although it was much bigger than this, into a container. And people who not had their tot would come up and get a neat tot. Anything left was then put into this Barrico, sealed with a padlock key, and it was left in not my storeroom, but in the storeroom where I had the keys to. Now, the older people in my branch, a guy named Ted Stone, he taught me proper things like that Barrico needs to be tipped upside down, ease the bung out very slightly, and leave it overnight. And the rum, which is only liquid, would gradually seep out into the container underneath. So the following night, we would have 2 or 3 pints of neat rum to drink. And I can remember being very drunk one night, and I was hanging out the scuttle, the porthole. My arms were outside. Now, you saw the picture of me at 15, 16, I was still the same. I could squeeze through a porthole, and I'm hanging there, mustering my kit bag, as we used to say, check it up on Jack speak, mustering my kit bag, doing very poorly, and mustering my kit bag. Or technical yawn. I'm being very, very poorly. But I got over it the next night when we did it again, because once she's done it once, so that was my first taste when I was 16 and a half, something like that.
Yes. Okay, well, we probably won't talk about the kit bag right now online, but
You've got it.
I'll leave it up to everyone's imagination. And we've got a couple of videos here, which I'd love to throw up. Maybe you can sort of talk us through them. So I believe this one's actually a silent one. This was actually sent from a good friend, Matt Petrick, who's doing a book on Navy rum. I think we talked about him before, but he sent me this video that he found. So let's throw this up here. And I think it hasn't got any sound, so maybe you can talk through what's going on in this one. Moment.
Oh, that's it. He's got his fannies out there, look.
So the fannies are the buckets, right?
Right, you got your rum tot. Now he's putting the water in. Yeah. Right, that's the water going in from a fanny into. You see how he overfills it.
Yes.
That's how he input. See how he overfills it. Look.
Yeah.
Right, that gives you the queens. Now he's a Royal Marine there. There's your Barrico.
Yes.
That's your Barrico. Get it all out. That's it. Go on, get it out. He's cheating. He's not getting it all out at the bottom. Look, right? He's your Royal Marine. He's doing the issue, which is what used to happen on aircraft carriers, big ships. The PO there is checking that he's doing it properly. He's mixing it up. See all these measuring jugs there? That's a 4 pint, and he's ticking it off in the book as to how much goes into each mess. The chap with the fanny in his hands says which mess he belongs to. It's the Queen, so it's after 1953, obviously. Before then, it was the King. See how he overflows it?
Yes. Now, if he's overflowing that, is that good for who? The mess or
the mess?
Yes. Okay.
That's how you get the Queens. All right. So he's pouring the tops out. You see how he's overflowing? Look into the. That's it. He's got an extra couple of tops there.
Yes.
that is the important. That is so important.
Yes. Why? Just for morale or for?
Oh no. It's so you get extra, and one of the important things is that your measure depends on how much you actually get.
Right.
I know it sounds a bit silly. Vanguard Army, 1952. Doubt that you've got. This will be afterwards. No, when you get down the mess, if somebody's giving you 10 of them,
yeah,
you won't get 10 out of it. You'll be short at the end because liquid clings to the surface.
Yeah.
Right. So I can put 10 separate ones of these into a glass, and I'll get you to pour them back out again. You won't get 10.
Yeah.
You'll get 1.5. Yeah. So Jolly Jack at the end of the queue is only going to get half a glass. He ain't going to be happy chappy, is he? So by overflowing like you've just seen, when you get down to the mess, you would get your 10 tops out, and then there's going to be something left. That's called Queens.
Right.
So what the person in charge of the mess, who's called the killick of the mess, all right, he pours all what's left into the glass. So imagine that's Queens. So, and it can be as much as that. It could be a whole glass.
Really?
But he's only got 10 people around him, so you're not going to get a lot. So he'll pass it round clockwise, if you like, and then he'll say Queens, sippers. Now that means that the first guy gets it, he can only have sippers, which is that. But before he drinks it, he says, the Queen, God bless her, sip. Then passes the same glass to the next guy. And he just says, the Queen, God bless, and that's it. So it goes all the way around the table, and it ends up back with the killick of the mess who dished it out. And there's some more. Oh, we can have gulpers. So he sends the glass round again, and you go, oh, Queen, God bless her. Goes around again. And people have left. They've gone to get their dinner. And there's 2 more glasses left. And the killick of the mess says, sandy bottoms. Oh, great. The Queen, God bless her.
Very good, sir.
So that, you can imagine, the gin is ready. Still, the alcoholic content is still there.
Yeah.
95.5% proof.
Yes.
Right? Not 40%, 95. And of course, when you've had a couple of tops, and then of course, if somebody's done you a favour, or you've done them a favour, they'll say, come round. So you go round to your mate, have a sippers. So by 12:30, you're asleep. And flat Coke. No, my kids have drank all the Coke. I couldn't do it. But the thing was, especially amongst the older hands, the ones, the 23-year-olds, the 24-year-olds, They couldn't be bothered to go for dinner, and they get young lads like me, come and get me a roast potato sandwich, will you? We had one lad, Alan Geddes, a writer from Leeds, lovely lad, and Macaulay, and he used to say, bring us back a sandwich, a roast beef dinner sandwich. You go get 2 slices of bread and you put the whole dinner onto this sandwich and you take it back to the mess where he's still drinking Queens, and then it descends into a sing-song, and then you go to sleep at about 1:15 until turn 2 at 20 to 2. For some unknown reason, it's 20 to 2. You start work again until 4 o'clock. If it's your birthday, baby's heads. Who's asked me what baby's heads are? Oh, Andy, ask him to tell you what baby's heads were for lunch. Yeah. Andy's asking me.
It sounds like a story we should be sharing, but I'll let you judge.
Let's get back onto course, please. Right, what's the next question?
So I guess from there, so John, one of the things we were talking about was how that period of the day was really the only social time you had on ship. It was
No, not really. Antisocial, yeah.
We have, by the way, for anyone watching, we've got John's wife Yvonne, who wonderfully annotates all of John's stories with the truth, the underlying truth of a situation. So.
She didn't know me then. This is that invitation said there was me in the Navy at 15 and she was still in nursery. Come on. I was no, shut up. Work finished at 4 o'clock. Dinner was at 5. We also got issued with cans of beer.
Right. And how much beer would you get a day?
But there was only little cans, not pint cans, half pint cans. And you get 2 of them a day.
So 2 of them plus your rum rations, and your rum ration was twice a day as well?
Yeah. But you've got to be over 21 to get your top, whereas everybody could drink 2 cans over 18. So what you used to do is save up your cans in your locker. Hopefully you'd never get a locker inspection because you'd get into trouble. Go forward many years to when I was on the survey ship, you used to have what you call a channel night. So you get your tot at lunchtime, then at night time you get all your cans of beer out and you start singing the songs after you've had your lunch, after you had your evening meal, I should say, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And that's it. It's just one big sing-song plus plenty of drink. That was it.
Wonderful. So you were having a good time most of the time.
Yeah. You couldn't drink an awful lot at night. You used to have 2 cans, but if somebody didn't want them, you could buy them off them. You know, a fag or a cigarette or something like that. Oh yeah, have your can of beer.
And you would use the rum as a currency. You could swap out rum.
Oh yeah. If on board ship you had to do your duty. In my job, I was duty every night at sea. If somebody in the galley had run out of cooking oil, they'd come and shake me at 3 o'clock in the morning. I want some oil. I'd have to go down to the storeroom to get the cooking oil. Now, other branches, they would take it in turns to be duty because there were so many of them. But I forgot the question now. If it was duty, I'd be here every single day having to do it at sea. But when we was in harbour, if you ended up having duty, in other words, you had to stay on board the ship, you could always say to the youngsters like myself, the older guy, are you going to shore tonight, John? No. You do my duty, well, what's it worth? Out comes the sign. Out comes the sign. Either a top, packet of fags, can of beer, 10 bob note, anything like that. To do a favour for a mate, bribery and corruption ruled the waves.
And what was the way to bribe you, John? If someone wanted you to do,
Well, for me, nothing.
No.
I used to do duty for 10 bob, but don't forget, a 10 bob. The married men, when I was in Portsmouth, married men used to say to me, "Will you be duty weekend?" So I'm not doing anything, so I might as well be duty. And I'd get a 10 bob note. That's 50p. In those days, down in Portsmouth, you'd go down to John Barleycorn, 8 pints of scrumpy, fish and chips, still got change out of that 10 bob note. That's what you call inflation. So, yeah, that's what you used to do. You used to do the duty to let married people go ashore to see the wives or girlfriends or both. And I used to get the money for it.
It sounds like you made a very good, tidy profit there.
Well, I was collecting stamps at the time. So that's where my money went to, collecting postage stamps, a philatelist.
For sending letters, or you just enjoyed
No, philately. I collected stamps, and I've just started again.
Yes, wonderful.
But no, you did favours for people, you know. But the rum was a currency, you know, a big part of everybody's life.
Yeah.
And getting, I mean, you must have seen programs like Sailor and all the other nautical things, and it's always the same: Jolly Jack ashore. Because when you know, people who experience this now with COVID-19 or 20, whatever it is, you having to stay isolated. We did this all the time. We'd spent months at sea.
Yeah, but you had rum.
Did you hear that? You had rum.
We had rum. Well, we have rum as well, so that's.
Oh, yeah, but you know, when you start, I mean, don't forget, in a Met, you got to remember. I'm looking at your office or whatever it is. A living room. We had 26 people sleeping in one room.
Wow.
That's tight.
Yes.
No, I didn't. Somebody just put gunpowder test. No, I didn't. We also learned about a Sykes hydrometer. Do you know what that is?
Yes, absolutely. So tell us about this, because this is an interesting one of the myths, and Matt Petrek is the gentleman who's been is probably the only other person I talk to as much about Navy rum as you, John. So Matt's been doing a lot of research, and for everyone watching, I'm sure this is a familiar tale, but we always used to say, you know, to make sure that the rum was strong enough or that it didn't spill over the gunpowder, they would, you know, put it in the shallow pan, put a sprinkle of gunpowder, light it up, and do the gunpowder test to see if the alcohol was strong enough. Now this seems to be, from the research we've done, it seems to be, you know, perhaps how it first started or in the early days, but the hydrometers were around from a very early time. So how did you measure the strength of rum on ship? Was it something you tested? Or... There we go, ladies and gentlemen.
This question.
Yeah.
We were taught how to use Sykes hydrometer. We were taught it. I have never ever used one. Every ship made one, but I ain't got a clue how to do it.
And was there someone else who was responsible on ship for using the hydrometer and testing it, or they just trusted if it came on it was going to be that?
I don't know. I don't know. We never went down that way. It was too complicated. No, I mean, at the end, the rum came in a barrel, and it was tested at the Victualling Yard at Portsmouth, which was Royal Clarence, and at Plymouth, which was Royal William, or the other way around. And at the end of the day, you got to respect people's professionalism in making sure that that rum is right. If it isn't, and I never knew it ever when it wasn't, somebody would shout out. You know, I can't remember any barrel being opened up and it not being correct. You know, I suppose somebody tested it somewhere along the line, but I don't know who. I mean, we tested it every day, you know. I mean, surely tasting it is the best test of all.
So you never had any sailors complaining that it wasn't the right amount or wasn't.
Well, no. The problem is when you've got the neat top, right? That's always the same.
Right.
But when you add in water, you can put too much water in. And when you're in the Far East, like we were, you put in ice in it. But
really?
Okay. Yeah. We used to grow the ice.
Freeze?
It reminds me of the story of one day when I was issuing the rum. We had a fanny full of rum left, and the officer was ever so nice. He had to go away and answer the phone, and somehow this rum kind of disappeared somewhere. I can't remember how it went, but anyway, it ended up in my freezers 3 decks down, and it was an experiment. And we put the grog 2 and 1 in this fanny into the freezer, and we left it there for a couple of days. And when we went back, it went off nice, ice cold, neat rum, because the water had frozen and separated from the rum, and leaving just great. Nobody knew about it. Do they?
So wait, so the water was actually separating from the rum? That seems...
Yeah, well, because water solidifies quicker than rum.
But I would have thought in the solution, like if we mixed rum and water and put it in the freezer, unless it was very low ABV, unless it was oily somehow, surely it wouldn't...
No, you mix water and rum together, the water will freeze, the rum won't. Did you not know? Water freezes at a lower temperature than rum does, because it's a different product.
Absolutely, but I've never seen something once it's mixed separate.
Right. Well, there's your job for tonight. Go and get yourself a top, put 2 bits of water in it, put it in your deep freeze, and then look at it a couple of days later and report back to me.
All right. Okay. Well, let's. We might have some new rum science for you here, folks. Matt here. So, did they ever have to make multiple batches in the grog tubs when working on a large ship like an aircraft carrier? Now, this is very pertinent. So for just to give some background to everyone. So, after your first 2 years of training, your first real commission was on the HMS Centaur, which was an aircraft carrier, right?
Yeah. Well, unlike the American ships, which hold 6,000, British ships have about 2,000, including the air crew. Now, on Centaur, we had a very young ship's company. Average age was, I think, 21, which meant that practically half of the ship's company couldn't drink the rum. In other words, you take out the chuffs and puffs and the officers, you're probably left with 500 tots a day.
Okay.
500, well, call it 400 tots. It's easiest to work out the math.
And these are the single tots before you've watered them.
Yeah, before you put the water in. So 400 tots would make it 1,200 tots divided by 8, whatever that is. That would go into that large rum tub. And that was it. I can never remember making more than one batch. No, I can't. But then again, you're only looking at 500 lads. On shore basis, where there's more, it was always issued as a neat tot anyway. You added your own water. But on board ship, it was put into the grog tub, and that was it. So I can't remember multiple batches. If there was, it doesn't really matter, because you still measured it out and put the same amount of water in. So I can never remember.
How long would that take you, John, to serve a crew of 2,000 people on HMS?
Well, it's not 2,000 people, it's only 500.
Right. Oh, right. Okay. So
you've got the under 21s, you've got the just and put the POs and chief petty officers. They used to get the rum direct from the spirit room, neat, by their messmen, whereas the lads, the troops, used to have to get their rum from the dining hall, and they would have it put in the fannies to take down to the mess deck where it was delivered down there. But on an aircraft carrier, you could have something like 30 messers. So that's 30 lots of people coming to pick up. Now, if you haven't put enough water in, whoever's last isn't going to get all their rum. So where it comes up when you're asking about the quality, if you like, if you put too much water in, it's going to be a bit weak and wishy-washy. And the lads downstairs will know. They was, oh, that's a bloody awful tot you dished out today. But you still put the same amount of water in, but then you put the ice in. The ice is going to melt, not an awful lot. You've only got 15, 20 minutes and to issue it all. Because you ask, how long does it take? About 20 minutes.
Right.
20 to 30 minutes. That's max. That's on aircraft go. On the other ship, 15 minutes.
Now, John, I've got a video here. We've got a video here of the rum ration being called out, and this one's actually got some sound to it, so we can watch it and discuss it afterwards. But if I'm right, your job as the Jack Busty, you would have had the book marking off each person as they took. And
well, it is the mess. So the guy comes along, 15 mess, sir, and I look at it, and it'll say 15 mess, 9 drawing. That's 9 drawing tots. 3 3 9 just 3 6. No, 3 3. So I'd say 9 drawing, 3 3. So the person dispensing the rum will do a 2 pint, a 1 pint, a 1 tot, and a 2 tot. That's your best measure. So it goes away with 9 tots, but in actual fact, you'll probably get 11 out of that.
So break that down. So you're calculating the number of people that qualify in that mess for a tot.
Yeah, it's already in.
Calling out how much for him to pour out, and he measures that out accordingly.
Yeah. You would do all that working out before you do the rum issue.
Right. Okay. So all that maths, you don't do the math on the spot. You can just call it out. So also, just before we watch this video, then we've got another question from Matt. What percentage of people would you estimate didn't take the rum ration and instead took the extra pay?
I took the money.
You took the money, right? Okay. Yeah. Oh, because you could get the rum for free, right? John, you're a genius. I love you.
on Hecate, I was in total charge. I used to get my preference a day extra for not having the top, because I could have enough rum as I wanted if I worked it. But I was also killing of the mess, so I issued it out around anyway. And I don't think they knew I was T, because in your spirit book you're either UA, under punishment, under sick, T for temperance, when you used to get preference a day for that, or G for grog, and D is dead.
Okay.
D,
and where would that money go? Or where would that rum go?
You get it in your pay packet. You didn't get given it. You got it in your pay packet. But I used to issue it in the mess, and anything that was left, I used to drink it anyway. So I used to get me tot on my threepence.
Fantastic.
You think you know what?
So was there? But just to go back to that question, was there a big temperance movement? Were there a lot of people? Because you were there from 61 to 70, which was the last 9 years of the rum ration.
No. But
so wasn't a thing.
I was the only person I knew that was tea.
So these people must have just been thinking, "Wow, it's amazing. How does he control himself?"
But remember, rum is a currency.
Yeah.
If you want something, if you want somebody to do something or whatever, you don't have to drink your rum. Nobody's forcing you to drink it. But if you want to give it to somebody, nobody's stopping that either. So if you want to have a run ashore and blah, 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 you could have my rum for a week. Now that's an incentive.
Yeah.
Come down for a week. What? You'd have them queuing up. Next question. What is a rum rat?
What is a rum rat? Well, let's before we show that, let me. I just want people to be able to see what you did. So you would have been the one calling out these numbers, right?
Yeah.
And we can show a little video of that in action, so that people can see. So that.
Then it says fortification.
Yes.
You've got to start thinking like a sailor, mate.
All right, let's play this video.
I've seen this.
32 mess. 4 points, 1 top. 33 mess up. 2.5 pints. 52 mess up. 2 pints.
So, John, you would have been that person with the book calling out the amount of pints, right?
Yeah.
4 sir. 38 up. 3 pints.
The marine is called a tanky. The bootlet is called a tanky.
Right.
He's the up to the watch, making sure that everything's above board.
1.5 pints. Oh, well. That's better.
Happy days. That's an old one, that is.
So, and that bowl he's drinking out, was that any part of a tradition, or was that just something for the video?
Everybody got to the top glass.
Yeah. Just showing off for the
Of course,
camera.
top glass has got broke in rough weather, so it may be that they didn't have any glasses left.
So that's a really good point, because I thought that everything would have been served in like the copper or something that wouldn't break at sea. That seems
Just glasses.
Yeah. Wow. So,
Yeah. I the famous incident on Hecate, going up and down the Irish Sea in the 410, and we had a table, and when you're at sea, you have lots of competitions. I used to run quizzes, sports quiz, general knowledge quiz, music quiz, things like that. I also used to run the tombola, bingo. I also used to run the library, so I could get the choice of the books. And for all these little extras, I used to get paid £5 a month.
right.
So,
Was that a decent extra wage at that time?
yeah, it used to get me extra things like that. So on these competitions, we won a Rose Bowl, which was a little electric plated nickel silver bowl called a Rose Bowl. And we put it on the table. We hit some rough weather, the table tipped upside down and flattened it. I had to go ashore in Plymouth and get it replaced. But the strength of the sea does that. We've had a refrigerator, in case anybody from America's looking. We had a fridge fastened to a bulkhead, bring itself from the bulkhead and come straight across the dining room. And the ship did a 47-degree roll. They were good days. Imagine 47, that's 45, that's 40. So we did a 47-degree roll. Plates, glasses, you name it, tumbling all over the place. And they had to be replaced. That's why on big ships, our dinner plates were pressed metal, like what you see in prison.
Right.
But on smaller ships, we actually had proper plates on a spring that you see nowadays. And in rough weather, that spring used to go up and down, and the plates at the top, when it reached the top, the ship would roll to one side, and all the plates go all over the place, and obviously break.
Yeah.
So, no, you had glass.
Wow, that's incredible. And that's we've got actually one just a follow-up as well to that video. We've got a picture of you actually during the rum ration sharing and calling out the messages here. So not a video unfortunately, but we can still show people here. So
That good looking lad there is me.
yes.
Yeah.
We went through this whole, when John first showed me this picture, I think I pointed out every single person and then got to last. And until you said the good looking one, it's like, oh, of course.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. This
the
lad
guy-
Charlie Cox from Jersey, a devout Gaullist he was, but 2 cans of beer and he was anybody's. So we called him 2 Can Charlie. This chap on the left-hand side, a young lad, he's a middy learning the ropes, and the other chap, he's the officer of the watch, who has to witness the pouring of the rum.
Okay.
This
Just
guy,
point that out, John. So the one on the far left, the middy or the midshipman, he's doing the ropes. He's just watching.
yes, what learning, yeah.
The gent who's bending over now. What?
Charlie.
He's 2 Can Charlie, right?
2 Can Charlie.
The person behind with the book, the good-looking chap, is
Me.
yourself.
With a measure in my hand.
Yeah. Right. Okay. And the person squatting down with the fanny.
Well, he's got the measurement. Now, if you see Charlie, he's got in his right hand a measuring device.
Yeah.
And in his left hand, he's got another one, and he's pouring the grog into the other one so that it overflows into the fanny.
Right. Yeah.
That's a better example than what you saw. I think on that one where you actually saw them putting it in, there'd be some moans and groans because they weren't filling them measures properly. I think that was just done for the camera. This is for real.
And so that there you were. So that's and is that the only record you have of you?
Yeah, that's the only one.
Wow.
As I said, it was the front page of the Navy News in 1968, I think. Fleet Review, I would think that was. My pride and joy that. That's going to top of my coffin when I kick the bucket. Because that's the bucket I've kicked.
It would probably be empty by the time you got there, though.
Oh, no, I'm breaking tradition. Seriously, when I go, not having flowers, there's going to be a bottle of rum on my grave, on my coffin, for him to share afterwards. That's seriously, that's what's going to happen. Not that I drink.
Well,
Right, come on then. Questions.
We enjoy plenty of rum before that, please. Now we've got talk about the rum rats. So this was a thing that came up regularly, both in your memoirs that you sent me, the diary of the rum rats, and in our conversations the other day. You were talking about the rum rats. So explain for everyone who the rum rats are.
Rum rat basically is anybody who drinks rum to excess. Who will get right. When we finish the issue of the rum, and we've got rum left, because when you mix it with water, it's not an exact science. You've always got something left.
Yeah.
And then you have to destroy it. You have to dispose of it by throwing it over the ship's side, or down a drain, or in a sink, down the toilet. You've got to get rid of it. The officer says so. Dispose of that, and the clever ones, the ones that have been taught proper, will turn the tap on or flush the loo, but you can't stop it once you throw it over the side. And in the days on aircraft carrier, when there was no such thing as air conditioning, you had scuttles, portholes, and everybody knew where you issued the rum from on the upper deck. And when you had to chuck it over the side, arms would appear from the inside of the portholes holding a fanny, hopefully catching whatever you're going to throw over the side. He's a rum rat because he's going to get the rum. Or the guy who's at the bottom of the sink, is undone all the bits and pieces, that YouTube that's under your sink, it takes all that. You're not allowed to use that sink for anything, but when you throw the rum down, you must use that sink. And the rum rat's at the bottom with his fanny, and he's took the bottom off. And when you throw the rum down, he collects it 4 decks down, so he can drink it. All right.
So you were actually undoing the plumbing of these sinks
Oh
to
yeah,
keep
yeah.
running, and then someone below would
You
come.
wash it. Goodness gracious me! No, you stuck to one sink, and everybody knew, except for the officers who was in charge, that run would go down to some deck down below. But the rum rat, anything he could do to get another tot of rum, he would do, because rum was the all conquering thing, you know. As long as it was free, wouldn't pay for it. He'd go around and, you know, birthdays and things like that. This is one of the reasons why they stopped it, because people died.
People died.
Yeah. Yeah.
And from
drink,
excessive drinking, or from what was the?
When it's your birthday, twins were especially susceptible to dying.
Twins.
All right, so they come to their birthday on board ship, right? And everybody knows, because you got twins, but it's your birthday, your 21st birthday, not used to drinking rum. And everybody says to you, come round. And you go round to the mess and you're sitting down there, sippers, gulpers, sandy bottoms, where you go? Right, next mess. 10 messes later, he's had a bottle of bloody rum. He goes to sleep and he dies because he vomits. And seriously,
wow,
people have died drinking rum because they don't get looked after. You know, if you see someone out of a situation like in Surrey Street, you would put them in the recovery position, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But everybody's at work, so there's got cramp in the bloody leg. Oh, come give me a rubby one. Shut up, Chanel. Seriously, people did die. I don't know how many did. But it would be from swallowing their own vomit, or people do it today.
Too much information.
So, but that was one of the problems, that people would get drunk on it, and it's a horrible thing to get drunk on.
And that's interesting, because that's not something that really pops up in any of the official documentation. Everything that's talked about finishing off the rum ration was because the advancements in technology and the Navy in the 70s was very different from the Navy from 200 years ago. You know?
When you consider that when I was doing it, everything had a price. The food, we had what we called a rate book, and it used to change every 6 months. So for 6 months, you knew the price of sugar, tea, bacon, eggs, the whole match. Rum was 7 and 6pence a gallon. That's 52.5. No, 7 and 6pence. It's less than 50p, isn't it? 37.5p a gallon. That is the cost of the rum. So it wasn't so much the cost that made it stop. It was the technology that was coming in. Don't forget, no such thing as a calculator, things like that. Typewriter, Black Imperial, fantastic. Made a mistake, rip the paper out, start again. None of this correction and all this kind of stuff. So you're talking of when technology started to come to the front, 1968 and things like that. So yes, to a degree, I understand why it was stopped. Imagine a submarine going along, Jolly Jack having a few tots in a sub. It's just worth thinking about. When you've got missiles and guns like that, you know, everything's automatic now. Press a button, look, he's drunk again. Look, you take him off. I mean, drink plays a big part in the forces, especially the Navy. Officers never got drunk. They got what do they get? High. Chuffs and Puffs got merry. Jolly Jack got drunk. And that's how it worked. And there's so much booze on board the ship. Not like the American Navy. They don't have anything.
Yes. Yeah.
But the Navy, they had it to excess. And they still do. But you have to learn to live with what you've got. And the top, being as it was so strong, I I think it was probably a bit early for me to have stopped it, but I understand it. And of course, it did me out of a job. That was more important because I couldn't do any more. Not what's the word, fiddling? No, I didn't say that. I couldn't gain anything from it. It took an hour and a half out of my working day.
Yes, yeah, of course. And you were making an extra.
They should have made me redundant, but they never did. They gave me extra jobs to do.
You're making an extra wage as well from all your temp.
Oh yeah. So I took a drop in my bloody standard of living. Disgusting, admiralty lordships.
It's outrageous. It's and so was discipline a big issue with these rum rats, with people getting drunk all the time? Like, how many of the crew was that affecting? Was it something that impeded the ship significantly, would you say, by having a rum?
I don't think it impeded the working day, because it was soon clamped down on. You just didn't do it because you had so much to lose. If you got caught drunk, even if you went ashore, you'd have to stagger back on board the ship and salute the officer of the watch and make sure you get your head down. As an example, you're talking of how it was clamped down on. On the Hecate, which was a survey ship, we was up the Irish Sea, I've said before. Our base port was Plymouth, Devonport, and we used to sponsor St Margaret's Hospital in Taunton, which looked after very poorly children who suffered from that. I can't pronounce it, the Miller lie, whatever. And we would collect money and bits and pieces. And once a year we went up to Taunton in the winter months when the ship wasn't at sea. We would go to St Margaret's Hospital, look after the kids, play pirates and whatever with them, run them around in wheelchairs. And then we'd go to the real reason we went, which was a booze up with either the police, the fire service, or the local rugby team. One particular year, we went up there, and don't forget, pubs closed at 10:30 or 11 o'clock in them days. From Taunton down to Plymouth was a couple of hours in a coach. And so we went up, coach load, had a good time, had plenty to drink, come back, got back on board the ship about 1 o'clock. 2:30, alarm bells start ringing. Bearing in mind that half the ship's company is probably drunk, we all got up, 2:30. There was what they called a sub-miss. A submarine was missing. When that happens, every ship will get ready to go out and search for the ship. So we all got back fairly drunk. I can't even remember getting back on board. 2:30, the alarms go off. We all had a job to do, and we all got out of the bed and we went and did it. That's the difference. We knew, no matter how much you got to drink, you knew, because everybody's life depended on what you did.
Yeah.
You know, so you acted accordingly. You just said, "Oh, don't wake me up, I'm drunk." You had to get up. Luckily, after about an hour, the sub reported in, so we went back to bed. So that was it. But the point was, we had to be ready. So whether the ship is sailing or not, people look after one another. The job has to come first. Doesn't matter if you've had too much to drink, you sort it. But if you did get caught and you end up at the captain's table, then you're in for a good hiding. You're going to get 14 days stoppage at top. You know, and that's going to hurt. If you're not going to drink for 14 days, that's going to hurt you.
Yeah.
You know,
I felt that.
You got the punishment on top of that. Nowadays, it's stoppage of leave and a £750 fine. Rum rat won't bother about the £750 fine as long as he's getting his rum, but of course, it doesn't exist anymore.
So there's a few bar ships like that where we're the same the next day. So
that's a silly question, isn't it? But let me just.
So you've currently got the Finest Caribbean, our newest blend. which isn't the same as the last consignment, which would have been the bottling of what you were drinking on the ships. So
it's so much lighter.
Yeah.
Right.
Completely different style, isn't it?
It's only 46.2, which is like water. No, seriously, let me do it properly, because this is my job.
Yeah.
Has it got any legs?
If one just ask the question, has it got any legs? Do you know what legs are?
As in legs on the glass?
Yeah.
How long it's lasting? Yeah.
You've not done your wine course yet, have you?
Yes. No, as well.
Your wine course?
We've got
You're doing a wine course.
We've got a couple of experts of wine here in the building who will.
Yes, I've got legs. I've got legs. I've got legs. That's all right. I would say that this is slightly not as harsh. The colour isn't right. It's too light. It's more like. Well, I'm not going to mention that. It is very light. Lucasade, I was going to say. Sorry, just knocked your sales for a bit. No, it's a nice drink. It gets the back of the throat, but you've got to remember, I wasn't a petty officer until the rum had finished, so I'm going to say I never experienced the rum. Of course I did, but it was more of the mixed, the water one that I experienced.
Yeah,
it's not as heavy. It's lighter.
Yeah.
No,
it's very different style. We're going to send you some last consignment as well to try, so you can have a little reminder of what you were having back in the ships as well.
I don't want to say anything about lambs. That's disgusting. Start putting that on my
It's funny, isn't it? Because Navy rum, I know when I started working at bars, Navy rum was almost, it wasn't always a favourable term for rum, which is a shame.
Well,
when you try the original stuff, it's incredible.
Well, it's the cost, of course. I mean, you look at lambs, you're looking at 10 quid a bottle, duty free. As I said, Navy rum 37.5p a gallon, but there's no duty on it. I don't know how it was made. I don't know where it came from. It was just mixed.
Yeah.
We didn't bother about things like that. We just drank it. But today, there's one called Kraken.
Yes.
Apparently, that's as close to puss as you can get. I've tried it. I don't think so.
I think there might be a few. I think there might be a few rum lovers on here.
Yeah, I think if you're going to drink rum, I mean, you can get Navy rum. Tesco. I work for Co-op. Get Co-op Navy rum. You get Tesco's. Everybody else, it's it's not Navy rum.
Yeah,
but I think, and it comes back to what you've said at the beginning. Why do you say Navy rum? Why not just rum? Why don't you say Bacardi? Right, it's not a Navy rum because it's a white rum. Why don't you just say rum? Why do you have to keep putting Navy? Because it's got nothing to do with the Navy. The stuff they've flogged, it's so light, it's so lightweight. There's no taste to it. There's nothing to it. Whereas proper Navy rum has the depth of taste. And you can feel it as it goes down. I suppose it's the difference between a £3 bottle of Plonk from Lidl, which I drink, to a £125 bottle of Merlot that you can get from Sainsbury's, if you like.
Yeah.
That's the difference. If you're going to drink rum, then you want the proper stuff.
Yes.
Forget this 10 quid a bottle stuff. Fork out a little bit and enjoy it. I mean, if you want to put ice to it, that's fine. Because if you don't drink it all, you can put it back in the freezer and you can go. I worked that one, didn't I? I worked that one in.
Well, I'm
Right.
going to. I've got a question here. So, any truth to the story of torpedo juice?
Never.
Crew drinking the ethanol out of pre-electric motors, torpedoes mixed with grapefruit juice.
Never heard of it. But
No.
I'll tell you one story. True. On Centaur, we had a chef or cook, and his name was Costello. Guess what his name was?
Elvis?
Lou.
No. Okay.
Costello. Right. Abbott and Costello, Lou Costello. And we knew when he was on duty because he'd be, especially for breakfast, because on the Centaur, you queue up, you could be 20 minutes queuing up for your scran on Centaur. And he'd be serving people who were never there because he used to be drinking Bluebell. Now, Bluebell is Brasso, yeah? And he used to strain Bluebell through a muslin cloth, not muslin cloth, and he used to drink it. When he died, he had the cleanest inside going, but he used to drink Brasso. And a lot of people used to do silly things like what this person has asked, mixing different things together. Because if you're a rum rat, you'll drink anything. Oh dear, what have I tried? Not paraffin, liquid. What hairdressers use, that purple stuff. I tried that.
Right.
That one very well. When I breathed out, it caught fire. But no, people have.
Was that before you needed glasses, John?
I didn't wear glasses in them days. and these glasses, not liquid paraffin, it's something like that. I can't remember. But no, Luke Costello, he was terrible. He used to be serving out these eggs. You could tell he was there. All these eggs on the deck. Oh, Lou's on duty again. You want an egg? You want an egg? And that's because he used to drink Bluebell at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Sounds like a wild time you had with Lou.
Well, yeah. He was an ugly bugger and all. He really was. No wonder he drank.
Yes.
Sorry, Lou, if you're still living. I don't think you are, but you are.
So
I've got this list. We haven't got question 1 yet.
we've barely begun. But one of the questions I wanted to ask you, obviously, we our whole rum is called after Black Tot Day,
Yeah.
the day they finished off the Navy rum rations, and I'm fascinated to know what that was like whilst you were in the Navy. You know, did you know it was coming? Was it a sad day? Was it like, how did you feel? What was that like to live through?
I'll be totally honest with you. I was still on the equity at the time, so I was issuing it for 2.5 years.
Right.
Moved into Drake Barracks in 1970, and I don't remember anything about it because I think I'd gone back to B&T or still B&T.
Right.
So I didn't actually go because we were being whittled in barracks, therefore the top was in barracks, and I didn't get it. But there are records of people drawing a gun carriage, black armbands, you name it. For myself, all it meant to me, and still does, I think, it took an hour and a half work out of my job. I don't remember it that well, to be honest with you. And I don't think we weren't given a year's notice. We weren't given. I bet it was a month's notice. The top will be, and I don't even remember what we did with it. It must have gone back. What happened to it? Where did it go? I've no idea. Yep. Somebody's got it. Who's got it? Who's got my rum?
Where's the rum gone? We've got some here. We're going to send you a bit for. We're going to have some.
Drinking this one.
We're going to have you some because obviously we've got the 50th anniversary this year of Black Tot Day, so we're going to make a little.
There will be some commemorations with that. There's got to be, but the other problem is that I remember these days, whereas my friend Andy ain't got a clue because it's 50 years ago. You weren't even born, so you haven't got a clue. And it's not only the drinking of it, it's the comradeship that surrounds the Tot that is missing. People have gone, and there's not many of us left that can remember those days. When I say not many, I'm 70 something. There's not going to be many people, but those people that are left, when you go onto the Navy sites, they're already saying, we're coming up to that time, and they will have a good night out. So plenty of singing, not so much dancing because nobody can stand up any day, and we will see what happens. And hopefully, Black Tot on your bottle there will bring back some memories.
Yes, absolutely. Well, hopefully we've got
it's
some.
It's important, though, you see, Mitch. It's important because it takes us back to when we were 20-year-olds and what we was doing and things like that. I mean, there was nothing better to Hamburg, because when you're on board ship, it's not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at all. It's whatever day the captain says it is. And we used to have Wednesdays was Saturdays, Sundays were Sundays. So you'd work Monday, Tuesday, half day work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, half day work Saturday, all day off. But even on the day off, you still worked. I still had to go and issue the rum. The cook still had to work and everything else. But when you went to when you was in port, and we didn't go in many ports on a survey ship, but one place was Hamburg. How old was I? 20, 21, 22. Sunday routine. We spent a whole weekend there. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Left on a Monday, I think it was. My mate, who was a scribe, wages, we all took out a loan. I don't know if it was legal or not, but we all borrowed next week's wages or next fortnight's wages. So we worked Sunday routine, which was 10 o'clock top time, dinner ashore at 12, down the bars. Back on board at 7, couple of cans of beer, back ashore till 1 o'clock or whatever. But I was too young to know those things. But that's what life was in them days, I think where you've got 24-hour drinking, it spoiled it. You should have a stop on drinking at 10:30, 11 o'clock, because you don't enjoy it after that. You're too drunk. So enjoy it while you can. Go to bed, get up the next day, and enjoy it. That's what it's all about. That's what Johnny Jack does.
John, I'm going to take you to a bar called Trailer Happiness, and I'm going to prove you wrong on that point. Okay, we're going to stay up well.
I'm too old to do these things.
No, you're not. We're going to get you. We're going to get you down here after all things are opening up again. We're going to go down to Trailer, and we're going to be drinking well past 11.
Trailer, but that's an Australian place, isn't it?
No. It's one of the world's great rum bars. You're going to love it. So. One story that you had actually that I think we skipped over was the cleaning of the measuring pipes and how you used to do that and so I know you're not strictly meant to talk about this, but we want to. I want to hear all those tricks of how you used to get a little bit extra.
No, I'm only telling it third hand, Mitch.
You're only telling what's
I'm only repeating it third hand.
Okay. So of course. Yeah, something you heard.
Something I heard on the grapevine.
Yes. Okay.
Grapevine or something.
What did those other Jack Dusties used to do on ship?
Never. Right, okay. Go back, and this is all very important, and you have to understand how it was actually. How you start the day off with the Tot. You'd have a barrel. It would contain, on aircraft carrier, 54 gallons of neat 95.5% Navy rum. Okay. And you used to get a bootnick, a Royal Marine. We had a young Irish, Welshman, Tappy Davis. He was a good lad, he was. He could pick up this barrel with two hands, and they are heavy. And he'd pick it up, and he'd put it on the stocks. Now, the stocks, I've showed you this, which I've put that little barrico on. Right? That is a stock. Right? So you put your stock on there, you bung up, right? The expression is bung up, bilge through. So it wasn't touching anything. Bung up, bilge through. On the top of it used to be a wooden bung. And that was hammered into place at the victualling yard with a wooden mallet with a Hessian cloth. So you put Hessian cloth over the bung hole and smack the bung into place, and you'd hammer it in. Okay. Now, before they did that, they had to measure the quantity of rum into the barrel. And that is recorded on the end of the barrel there, the yard where it was done, sorry, upside down, where it was filled, how much was put in, and the date and the barrel number. All those were recorded in your ledger. When you opened a new barrel, the most important scientific instrument of the day was used to measure the inside of that barrel. It's called a broomstick.
Okay. Triggers.
Not one that you've been scrubbing, washing the decks with, but a brand new broom handle. And used to put that in, because at the victualling yard they used to put that in and fill the barrel up until the rum got to the bottom of the bung hole.
Right.
That was with the stick in.
Yeah.
Once you got to that amount, you put that on the side and take the handle out, because when that barrel was sent around the world, water expands or whatever it does, and rum's exactly the same. It can condense down, I suppose. It can expand. I don't know how, but there you go. The wood can expand, I suppose. So when you open the barrel up, you get a hammer, mallet, marlin spike, and you get the bung out. First thing you do, you put the wooden pole back in, and you look at where the rum comes to, and it will require, because of evaporation, and in the wine trade they call it the angel share, of what disappeared. Okay, so you put that in, and what you've got left from the previous barrel, and you must make sure you've got something left, you then pour it back into the barrel to see how much you've required to fill it back up to the bottom of the bung hole. That is called required to fill. So I'm not saying that you can falsify those things, but you have to record it. So if you've put in, say, I don't know, 2 tots, I'm not saying you could put down 3 tots in the ledger, whatever. When you finished issuing it all, you keep a daily record. When you finish, you know what you should have in it. But like with issuing the grog, when you pull the tot out, there will be a measure of overflow that you can't account for. And that's called loss on issue, LOI. And that goes into your ledger as well. So a full barrel of rum could have the contents, a loss on issue, and an RTF required to fill. As the RTF and the LOI together should equal how much rum was in that barrel. Well, it does equal that. However you work the loss on issue. And that is how you then start issuing the rum, because you've got 45 gallons, and on a daily basis, you issue it out and you keep a track of it. And that was it.
Now that sounds very official, John, but I believe there's also some other ways in which.
Oh, right. Okay. So sorry. The brain only goes one way, you know. Right.
I know that's what you would tell the officers, but I want you to tell us what really happened.
Come once a month, or come once a week, or Admiral might be coming on board and he'll want to inspect my storerooms, etc. And he'll want to go down the spirit room, go down the mess deck. Anything made out of brass got to be absolutely sparkling. And of course, all the measures that we use are made out of copper, including the pump. Now, the pump is the stuff that you pull the rum up out of the barrel. So when we know that we're going to get an inspection, we say to the officer of the day, or officer of the watch, I should say, who's inspecting the issue, you've got to have I can't do it on my own. I can't just bimble off down to the spirit room and pull off 4 pints of neat rum and go and issue it. I've got to have an officer there. The key to the spirit room is kept on the bridge under the officer of the watch's eye. I can't draw it without him. So when we know that we're going to have an inspection, all the measuring implements have to be cleaned with Bluebell Brasso, including the pump. One thing you don't do is clean the inside of any of the equipment, including the mess tape, which is they're made out of aluminium. The rum eats its way through an aluminium fanny in 2.5 years, and it becomes all pitted at the bottom. You can clean the outside, but you never clean the inside of a fanny, because you get into trouble, because everybody will taste the Bluebell that you've done. So with the pump, you say to the officer of the watch, "Excuse me, sir, I've got captain's inspection on Saturday, whenever. Your permission to take my measuring jugs out so I can clean them." Carry on. So you take out the plunger out of the pump, and then with the measure, you walk out the spirit room, lock it up, and away you go. Unbeknown to that officer, who's a bit thick, there's 2 pints of rum left in the pump, isn't there? I forgot to tip it upside down or push my finger up. There's a valve at the bottom of the pump, which when you're finished, you push your finger up the pump, and the rum then comes back down, covers your hands. If you've got cuts and that, it stings, into a copper funnel back into the barrel. But of course, if you don't do that, the rum stays in the barrel, in the pump. So then, for some unknown reason, you take it back to the storeroom, and you start to clean it on, and all of a sudden you find that you've got 2 pints of neat rum. Oh my goodness, I must go and get the officer of the watch and tell him.
Which I'm sure you did immediately, John.
Well, I could find him.
Yeah.
Might have been a week later, but
I imagine he was very hard to find.
But officer, I would just like to add that, especially when I was at Whale Island, Miss Musters, like I said before, if you're on a ship, you issue it for the day. That's it, job done, because everybody's there. But on a shore base, people could be to training, gone to another depot somewhere, whatever, and wouldn't be able to get the top. And it's called Miss Musters. And Miss Musters is 4:30. Sorry, 16:30.
Yeah.
And it used to take place in my bedding store. And the officer would come along, okay, and you got to have an officer, and he'd come along, and the rum would be what's left over from the main issue. As I've said before, if you're on a shore base, it's always a neat top followed by water. It's not mixed together.
Yeah.
Because these people aren't there, their rum is still safe. But then it goes to the Miss Muster place, and then they turn up. Different places had different ideas about this. You had a piece of paper, we used to have it punched to say that you've had your top. I I can't really remember what routine it was work, but you turned up and you got your top basically. And on Miss Muster's, mainly it was Tot Anita's, because the officers were fairly good. You probably have about 20 people there turning up the top. But the room was in a barricade, and you used to empty it in over the fanny. And the chap would turn up, Miss Muster's, whatever. You get him a tot of rum out, the water was there. And depending who the officer of the watch was, he'd say 1 in 1. So you'd have to put another tot of water in, which was okay. 1 in 1's quite nice. The officers that weren't very nice, 2 in 1, get it on there. Right. Nice officers say, help yourself. Some officers would say to me, oh, Hume, because you used to have your name badge on, or your name sewn into your shirt. Oh, Hume, I've just got a phone call to make. I should be back in 5 minutes. Carry on. Thank you, sir. So he would bimble off around the corner. And before he went, he'd say, oh, by the way, out comes a hip flask. I've not tried your one before. Do you think I could have a taste? So you'd fill his, so after everybody big, it'd only be 5-10 minutes, you got this neat rum left, and you'd pour some into his hip flask. And of course, there's still rum left. So what you do, you get an old milk bottle, and whatever's left, you pour back in the milk bottle. And the officer comes back after 5-10 minutes. Have we finished, Hume? I say, yes, sir. All the rum's gone. He said, carry on. And you give him his hip flask. You'd lock down for the day, and then have your dinner, and then go back to the storeroom with your mate and drink what was left. But I'm only being told that third hand.
Fantastic.
I don't know why it was cancelled in the first place. I really don't.
Sounds like you guys were very responsible with it, John. I don't know.
I was very responsible.
Possibly gone wrong there.
My ledger was spot on. My previous records say I was very good superior. My rating was superior.
So show us. You've got your jacket there, John, and so we're going to wrap up very soon, and we're about to announce a winner from someone who shared the video. We're going to pick someone to win a bottle of rum. So we'll be doing that in a minute. But before we do, John, show us this jacket you've got. So this is your original jacket.
50 years old, this. That's petty officer, and 2 good conduct stripes. Each good conduct stripe is honest and good service for 4 years for each stripe. Now, you don't get them until you're 22. So
yes, that was my first question earlier, John, because you were in the Navy for 13 years?
12.
12 years, and you only got two stripes.
Yeah, because Manson, this starts at 18 to 26, right. And then 26, hang on a minute, sorry, 18 to 22 and 22 to 26. So I can only get to the 3 before, from 15 to 18 was boy service, and you don't get good conduct stripes for boy service. And the other badge, I've lost me out, that one there, that is my branch, SA, stores accountant, which is now changed to L, which is logistics. But this is 50 years old, and it still fits, but not around the waist.
Brilliant. Well, you have to come and join us on the 50th anniversary, John. We'd love to have you back on. And
oh, great, mate! I've really enjoyed this.
We'll share some more rum together before you.
Yeah. Not that I drink a lot.
No, absolutely.
Only when there's a Y in the day. That's the only time I drink, is when there's a Y in the day.
Very responsible of you, John.
Yeah.
I can't wait to take you down to the trailer and show you what.
You're like one barracking in the background. Do what?
He was petty then and he's petty now.
I was petty then and petty now.
Yvonne, ladies and gentlemen, the most wonderful commentator for any rum club we've had so far.
Any more questions?
Yes,
I haven't worked any of these, you know.
If you have any other questions, please put them up now. We're going to put. So Ivor asks all the way from Canada. How many people had a hip flask? Did you need to be a certain rank to carry one?
Nobody had hip flask.
Nobody had hip flask.
No, but sometimes officers did. I mean, I've got about 5 there behind me. But no, I mean, it was a new thing in them days.
Would you sneak some? You would sneak bottles or other.
So you don't want me to tell you about the flask, do you?
Tell us about the flask.
The coffee.
Right.
Coffee flask, of course.
Have you got time to listen to this one? It's called the She Story.
With the coffee flask, and then we're going to pick someone to win the
right, let me just tell you this one. Right, okay. Not that I tell stories like that. Let me just pull the blind down a bit. You might like this. Now, one of the things when I was at Whale Island, HMS Excellent, which is the world's most infamous training establishment, which is still there, where I used to issue the rum, especially the Miss Musters. And somehow I used to come home on weekend leave with Southdown coaches, which used to pick you up at 4 o'clock on a Friday, take you to wherever you're going, bring you back midnight Sunday, and you get back on board about 7 o'clock Monday morning. And somehow I'd got this bottle of rum. I don't know where it had come from. And because it was a long journey, I had to have a flask of coffee. And I thought, well, this rum might go off. So I filled the flask with the rum. And I thought, well, I might get pulled up at the main gate by the police and get searched. And if they found me with this rum, I'd be in prison and get DQ'd. So, not being very clever, I thought, well, what can I do? Cling film had just started to come out, so I thought, fill the flask up with rum, put some cling film at the top, pour some hot coffee into the cling film, and put the top back on. Anybody asking, what have you got in there? I said, black coffee. Open it up, let me smell. Open it up, and there would be this coffee sitting on the top of the rum, albeit stopped from contaminating the rum by the little bit of cling film. I never did anything like that.
John, we have so much to learn from you. We have so many so many lessons you can teach the youngsters watching.
What does it say there? Grumpy. Look, grumpy. Grumpy old Matlow, look. Happy days they were. That was the key to everything. People were so happy. All gone. But I shall refresh this and try and get happy again.
Yes, well, let's fill up our tots. Let's have a little toast together. We're gonna put up. So we did a little competition today. We said at the start we didn't want to give Mark Zuckerberg any more Facebook money, so we just said we'd ask you to share the video, and we'd give one of you a bottle of rum. So we're going to choose one of you to win a bottle of Black Tot Finest Caribbean. We're hopefully going to throw up that name on the screen, maybe if the magic of technology is working. Christina Wolf, you've won a bottle of Black Tot Caribbean. This is
where does she live?
I don't know. We will find out where you live. Message us where you live. Send us a message. We'll sort that out, and we'll send you a little bottle of rum to enjoy. So well done, Christina. We've beaten Facebook algorithms, and we've given you some rum. So
how many people have watched it? Do you know?
I imagine a few million. I don't know.
Yeah.
Only 26 people watching right now, but I imagine
26.
By the time we've finished, it'll be a few million. We've got a. We had a lovely message earlier, actually, from Claire, and I believe
that's my daughter.
Yes,
me.
I saw this earlier, and I thought that was a lovely little message to put in as well.
Yeah, well, my other daughter, just last one, I promise. Germany.
Germany.
Oh, well done, Christina. I'm half German as well on my mum's side. Just last one. Talking of rum, right? Bringing up children. My other daughter, not this one. She's a nuisance. The other one, Lindsay.
She sounds lovely.
I've not even had a drink yet, Mitch. Anyway, Lindsay, on her 12th birthday, we had a barbecue. And of course, I get out my Navy rum, proper stuff, not plums. And so I'm having, there's 25 people there or whatever. And of course, I want to get my tots out. And Lindsay's saying, "Hey, my glasses aren't straight up." That's it. Then she's saying, "Well, where's mine?" I said, "You can't drink this. This is proper stuff, 95.5 stuff." She said, "I can drink that." I said, "No, you can't." She says, "Yes, I can." I said, "I bet a fiver you can't." I said, "I bet a fiver you can't drink a tot of the other one's rum." And she said, "I'll bet you a fiver I can." I said, "Go on then." So I pours her a full tot of this rum out. I said, "You got to do it proper nautical way. Back in one. 12 years of age. Not only does she knock it back in one, she takes me fiver as well." So not only do I lose a tot of rum, I lost a fiver. And now all the children, 8, 10, "When can we have your rum, Grandad?" "You're not. It's mine. You've got to wait until I'm dead and you get your bottle then." Well done, Christina. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Well, we have to make sure there's plenty of rum for you and all the kids, John. So you're all taken care of. John, thank you so much. Not just for tonight, but thank you so much for
It's been a pleasure, mate, to meet you.
all of our conversations over the past few months. You've really you've added a depth and the context to some of the stories which just reading a book just doesn't give you, and it's wonderful to hear these tales firsthand from you and find out what was true and what was bullshit.
Do you realise I've got to go and do my diabetes test now? See if I've got enough sugar in my blood.
Well, we're going to.
My drinking's okay.
Yeah.
Leave me here alone. I've done it especially for tonight, look.
This is Yvonne. Yvonne, say hello to everyone. Yvonne's in the background. If you've been wondering who the voice is in the background.
Show yourself. Look, don't be frightened of me. I've only been married 44 years.
This is John's wonderful wife, Yvonne. Hello, Yvonne. Lovely. I'm so glad that you didn't stay quiet during this session. Thank you for joining in. I think a lot of people have very much enjoyed it.
I say though, Mitch, we still not done it.
What's that?
Questions.
The question.
Did people like the taste, or did they have to learn to like it?
There we go. That was a very good
I
question.
don't understand the horsehair.
So this was a question that came up. So okay, we'll go on a little tangent before we finish. So you said to me when you drink the rum that you had to grit your teeth and there was like splinters and stuff in the rum. And one of the other bits of research we'd seen was that perhaps the rum was marked in some way with horsehair or something else put in the rum that made it distinguishable. Now,
No. When you put it in the barrel, you see those. Sorry, when you've seen those videos and they were taking the stuff out of the barrel. I don't know if this is the expression "scraping the barrel."
Yeah.
But when you get into the bottom of the barrel of issuing the rum, you're doing that, aren't you? And that is knocking all the wood off into the rum, hence the splinters. All right. because there's still room in the bottom of the barrel, and you've got to get it out. You don't tip the barrel up into the fanny. You've got to get the measuring jugs in to the rum to get out of the barrel into the fanny.
Right.
That's where you get the splinters from, because you're knocking all the wood off on the inside of the rum tub. That's where you get the splinters from. Horsehair, that threw me. I mean, no.
No. So, but it's
we've never met horses. Are you talking about the French Navy? I think when they used to have the horses.
We'll have another session, John, but we won't get into that one. But it's interesting. You were saying when you were downing those tots, you were having to grit your teeth when you drank it, right?
It was never as clear as that.
Yeah.
It was never as clear as that. There was always bits in it, and you just clenched your teeth and downed it.
Wow.
That's a proper tot, that is.
Yeah, we've got it too easy. Okay, so we'll bring out the next Black Tot. We'll add some splinters in there for you. And
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, John, thank you so much for tonight. Thank you for all of your letters and all our conversations. It's been a wonderful thing. So anyone who has any questions, please join us next time. Our next guest will be on the 1st of July. It'll be Sukhinder Singh, who found the remaining rum rations and bottled at his last consignment.
I want to speak to him.
We're going to hear those stories. We've also got a very special announcement on the 1st of July. So join us there, where you'll hear some of the things we have lined up for the 50th anniversary this year. John, thank you again. Thank you for everyone who's tuned in today and watched. And we'll see you all very, very soon.
Cheers. Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Goodbye. Cheers, John.